I'm going down again, and I'm driving here in my old banger, so you can hear the little click and clunk because I think this one needs to be sorted, the shock absorbers around on this one. And when I'm driving, that's when I talk about the different subject about the Philippines, which can be of use of some and for information of my viewers. And as my viewers, you are like my passenger here as I'm driving. So please bear with me if you think that I'm repeating myself sometimes, because I'm actually driving. I'm not reading any script. Everything that I talk about is just within what has been stored in my brain. So this information I'm sharing with you are actually things that I have learned, and if I repeat myself, like I said, now I'm repeating myself, please bear with me. And also, if I stop sometimes because we're going on a pothole or some idiot is crossing the road, just not looking around, or some just suddenly overtakes me, then you have to bear with me, my audience. Now, this one, I would like to talk about Filipino work ethics. It's sad but unfortunate that when I talk about the work ethics of one of my worker, a comment was sent that I should not be talking about personal issues about my worker. Actually, for me, personal issues are things that are discussed behind closed doors. What I'm talking about is not a personal issue, it's a cultural thing. It's something that people will willingly talk about it to your neighbor. The neighbor can actually see it when they throw the clothes away of their house, kicking out the husband because he is not bringing the bacon home, you know, spent the wages on gambling, or either it's in drinking. So unfortunate that there are still a lot of Filipinos that don't work so hard. They don't work so hard like you are in the West, because a lot of them had no mortgages, no car payments, and they don't even try so hard to have nice holidays, nice things. They are just content of bringing the money enough for the food of the week. So there are people who are just happy to work 2 to 3 days a week, enough for them to earn the food that's needed for the family for that week, and the rest will be the pastime. So having a job is like a hobby now. The pastimes are now just important. Either they spend their pastime gambling, drinking, or on other cases, gaming. So it is not. I'll just stop here. I'll just check my phone as well. So we'll continue on, because this is the bed of road that is rough before we go in a cemented one. And I'm passing through the shortcut that I usually take when I go down the city, the one I have shown you about, that it will save me 6 kilometers if I don't go by a pitos. So going back to my work ethics, Filipinos don't thrive so hard like you are in the West, because they don't have the liabilities like you have, mortgages, or like they don't even strive that they can send their children to private school. Public schools are free. All you have to provide is fare and food for the children. So they have little liabilities. That's why they can get away with working 2 or 3 days a week. Another thing that is quite common around here, when a worker get their hands on money, maybe a relative come home abroad and start giving them gifts, money, or they had a harvest on the sides of the people up the village, that sometimes they have sold some animals, if they have animals, pigs, goats, or they have a harvest of the mangoes. They don't work when they get paid. They spend a day or two or even 3 to spend that money before they come back to work. And that's another common thing that you can see around here. You might say, oh, I got a comment from Eddie Lugo that another motivator is like, tell them that they're suspended from work. They look at it as holiday. Sadly, it's not a motivator, because the mentality is you are working for the food. You're working to provide the food for the week. So, even exists in my own family before. You know, my father, I told him, that's why I get cast off all the time. Why don't you have a job that can afford to feed us all? His mentality was, he had a job. He's bringing the money in. But it's not enough for us. We're about 5 of my siblings, plus 2 of the 7 in the family. And we're still struggling hard. That I end up working, and my college education was like installment, only a few units per semester, because I am a full-time worker. And that is the same with my brothers. They don't work so hard. Like, they have work, but if it's enough for the week, that's it. That's good enough. They have a job. They're not just lying around. But like one of my workers, he can just still work Saturdays. But of course, he wants 2 days off a week for his leisure activities. Then we accepted that. And his own father would love to work 6 days a week and just have the Sundays off. But sometimes I told him that we don't need much more materials, because like this Saturday, I told him not to pitch more sand, because we have pitched a lot of sand last Saturday. And because of the days off, it was not used for like an equivalent of 1 day. So we have a lot of materials. You don't need to work today. So we have a Saturday off. And it is a common thing around here. In fact, Mai's father, her mother will throw the things out of their house if the husband come home after construction work for a week, and Saturday come home. The wages is only half because he has gambled it away or drink it away most of the time. And everyone can see it, and when you talk to her, she will even tell you what's the problem and how she gets so angry that she has to track all those things. But she is not alone. It's a normal cultural thing that the new generation right now is actually been educated to erase that toxic culture of laziness. But sadly, some of the OFW brothers, although not all, though they are sacrificing themselves to earn abroad, and the one that's left behind here are the one that they are supporting, and they don't need to strive so hard because the father or the mother is the one supporting them while working abroad. Although there are children that are very grateful and work hard and make good with their education because of that opportunity that their parents have given them by working abroad. But it's a common thing to see that the actual children of the OFWs are a failure themselves, because they don't have to strive so hard. It's now provided for them. So in a way, it's advantageous. In a way, there are disadvantages. It's creating this lazy generation. But I know there are a lot that succeed looking at their parents working hard for them, and they themselves make sure that their life will be better. In fact, some of them give back. They're the one working abroad, and the parents stayed home, retired, and they're the ones supporting their parents this time, which is very, very honorable on my mind and most people's mind. But there is people like that have become lazy because of this opportunity that they don't have to work so hard. They are provided for. They marry early because money is easy. Someone's working abroad, providing all the iPhones, the gaming things, the appliances. I mean, paying for the house. Her house is nicer now because someone's working abroad. You know, they don't need to strive so hard. So that resulted to a new generation of lazy people. But a lot of them, that's a cultural thing about Filipinos, that we sacrifice for the sake of the family. And so, back to the work ethics again. Foreigners who's planning to come here and have building works, you should not be surprised if your workers only want to work 2 or 3 times a week. And if they come into money, they will not even work for a week because they have money coming in from their harvest, coming in from selling their animals, or coming in from gifts from relatives that are living abroad, or come into another thing. That's when they have really stopped completely, when they sold some of their inherited land. I had that before with one of my workers, that they sold their inherited land for some millions and they have to divide it among their siblings, and he's off work for like a couple of months. So when the money start diminishing, he come back and wants his job back. But I said, I already replaced you. That's too long for an absence. But, oh, okay, I'll just find another job. I mean, look at that kind of work. Instead of doing your best to preserve your work, preserve your job, I mean, no. Jobs are a hobby. And if you are earning just enough to feed a family, that's good enough. You don't need to strive so hard because you have no mortgage, you have no car payments. Your only expense is the food. So that's one of the work ethics that, unfortunate for us, is still existing around most of the Filipinos around here.